Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment. 32 teams, 32 days, and today we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens, a team that drafted quarterback Lamar Jackson in the first round of their 2018 NFL draft while still having their Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco from the 2012 season. This team is in a very interesting place in their franchise's history. It's time to make the playoffs or John Harbaugh's job could be at jeopardy. Will they go with Lamar Jackson? Where they go with Joe Flacco? We're going to discuss those things today, discuss this team's strengths, discuss this team's weaknesses. I will give you my statistical projections for some offensive players. I will give you some bold predictions for this football team, and then we will end this video with my official win-loss prediction for the Baltimore Ravens. So with that said, let's talk about the Ravens. Let's talk about their strengths first. And first, let us talk about their defense. Let us talk about their defensive line. Let's talk about their front three. They have Michael Pierce. They have Brandon Williams. They have Willie Henry. This is a nice trio in terms of this Ravens 3-4 defensive line. It's a hell of a front, and to me, it is led by Brandon Williams, who continues to be a great run stuffer in the NFL, one of the best nose tackles in the NFL. Michael Pierce, a great defensive end, and Willie Henry, who continues to ascend in his own right. I love the defensive line in Baltimore. I also love the linebackers in Baltimore. Let's start inside, as we have CJ Mosley, who continues to be one of the most consistent inside linebackers in the NFL. We also have Patrick Onwuasor, who had a decent year last year. And they look at the exterior, or the edge rushers, Terrell Suggs, who despite, getting up there in age, still has a lot of burst. We've seen that in the preseason as he sacked Andrew Luck, so has a lot of leadership that he brings to the table. And outside of him, we still have some question marks, but I'm very encouraged. We have Tyus Bowser and Tim Williams, two of the draft picks from the 2017 NFL draft for the Baltimore Ravens. And they didn't have a great year last year. Don't get me wrong. These are still two very talented guys, two guys I have a lot of faith in, a lot of confidence in, and I think are going to make a much bigger impact in the 2018 NFL season. But they also have Matthew Judon and also Zadarius Smith. Bronson Kofusi also gets involved as well. So they have a lot of pass rushers, guys that still need to solidify themselves, but you combine these guys with Terrell Suggs in the interior linebackers. I like the linebackers in Baltimore. We look at the weaknesses for this football team though, and we must start at the quarterback position. It is a weakness to me. It is definitely one of the weaker positions on this football team, without a doubt. Joe Flacco, I don't think he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. I think he's right above that. Okay, he's right above the worst quarterbacks in the league. So think about the bottom tier in terms of starting quarterbacks in the league. Joe Flacco is right above that. That's the type of production that he's been putting forth for the Baltimore Ravens pretty much ever since he won the Super Bowl. He had one good year, I want to say, in 2014, but outside of that, he's been struggling. It's been bad, and last year was one of the worst. Now, the good thing is, we're going to discuss this soon, they've added a lot of pieces around him. He also looks like he has a fire that's been lit under him. He looks motivated. This has been the best training camp he's had in a number of years, so there's a lot of things to like, but make no doubt about it, Joe Flacco is a weakness for this football team. And if you think I'm wrong, why they draft a first-round pick on a quarterback? I mean, Joe Flacco ain't that old yet. He ain't even close to being old yet for a quarterback. Why did you draft a quarterback? Because your quarterback is a current weakness. You're trying to either motivate Joe Flacco or prepare for the future, preparing to move on from Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is definitely a weakness for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm also going to go cornerback, and this may surprise some of you, but hold on a second. Jimmy Smith is suspended for the first 4 games of the 2018 season. He is the Baltimore Ravens' best cornerback. Now, outside of him, we have Marlon Humphrey, who had a very good and promising rookie season. I like him. But we also have Brandon Carr, who is getting older. Now, he is regressing. I don't love him. And Tavon Young, who did not play last season. How's he going to play this season? We're going to find out. So, I don't love the quarterbacks, especially to start this season. So, to me, it is a weakness for this football team. With that, so we move on to my statistical projections for the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Flacco, 3,900 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and an 87.0 passer rating. So I'm expecting a bit of a resurgence for Joe Flacco. This will be a year that will be good enough to say, okay, we can feel comfortable with Joe Flacco moving forward, or we can trade him to a team, and that team will be comfortable with Joe Flacco moving forward. He will start in 2019 with this kind of stat line. Running back Alex Collins, 200 carries, 900 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I like Alex Collins. I think he's a player that is not ever going to be a top 5 running back in this league, maybe not even top 10, but hey, he could be a decent average starting running back, average 4.5 yards per carry as I have him doing here, and make a good impact. And then wide receiver John Brown, I think he leads the pack for this Baltimore Ravens wide receiver core. I think he gets 70 catches, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. With that, so we move on to my bold predictions for the Baltimore Ravens. We start with number 1, John Brown leads the Ravens in wide receiver production. Again, I don't think he's the best wide receiver necessarily, but I think he's going to play like it. He and Joe Flacco have been having great chemistry in training camp. Michael Crabtree, although I think he's probably better still at this stage, he hasn't really been showing up very well. He and Joe Flacco, their chemistry hasn't really been on point, so I think Crabtree will still have a good year, but I think John Brown's going to have a better run. And then Willie Snead is going to be mainly in this slot. Haven't heard too much about him, so I'm putting all my money on John Brown right now. We look at bold prediction number 2. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to start one game. I think he's going to come in occasionally, run some wildcat, run some read option, they use him as a gadget, as a toy. Maybe they're going to put him in mid-game, whenever the game's over, fourth quarter when the game's over, but I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to start one game in this 2018-19 NFL season. And then bold prediction number 3, despite a vastly improved offense, and I think it's going to be vastly improved, I still think the Ravens are going to miss the playoffs. You look at this improved offense, you look at the wide receivers, again, you have John Brown who you added Michael Crabtree, you added Willie Snead. These are new weapons. There's going to be some troubles early as Joe Flacco gets acclimated to these weapons. You added Hayden Hurst, the tight end out of South Carolina. I could have easily said the tight ends were a weakness, but I think he's actually doing well for you, so I'll let you slide on that one. So I think the offense is going to be improved, but I look at last year's Baltimore Ravens, and I see total frauds. Who did the Baltimore Ravens beat that was impressive last season? No one. They beat one winning team last season, the 9-7 Detroit Lions. Who did they beat? Well, they swept the Cleveland Browns, 0-16 Cleveland Browns. Okay, who cares about that? They beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, who cares about that? Okay, they were able to beat the Oakland Raiders, 6-10 Oakland Raiders. They were able to beat the 6-10 Miami Dolphins, albeit 40-0, very impressive. They were still 6-10 Miami Dolphins. They beat their Green Bay Packers without Aaron Rodgers. They beat the Houston Texans, who went 4-12. They beat the Indianapolis Colts, who went 4-12. Those wins were nothing. I mean, there was not one impressive team. And then, like I said, they beat the Lions 44-20, their most impressive victory. On the opposite side, they lost a lot of games. They lost to the Chicago Bears last year. They got blown out by the Steelers 26-9. They got blown out by the Jaguars 44-7. There were a lot of games last year that concerned me. I think they got away last year with a very easy schedule with a lot of bad teams. Either 6-10 teams, 4-12 teams, 0-16 teams, or teams missing valuable players like Aaron Rodgers and Andrew Luck in terms of the Indianapolis Colts. Now things are going to change. The schedule is going to be harder, and you look at that 2018 schedule and you already see that. First of all, in your own division, I think every team has either improved or stayed the same. I think the Bengals have improved very slightly. The Browns have definitely improved. They're not going to go 0-16 again, although I don't have them being very good. And the Steelers have stayed the same. Okay, so the division has gotten harder. Okay, you're facing the AFC West. Okay, and that's going to give you some problems. AFC West is harder than the AFC South last year. I think every team in the AFC West is at your level, which means you could beat them. You could go 4-0. You could also go 0-4. Probably the answer is somewhere in the middle at about a 2-2 record. And then you're also going up against the NFC South. And anyone going up against the NFC South is in trouble, man. They had 3 playoff teams last year, and although I don't see that this upcoming year, we know that the Panthers, the Saints, and the Falcons are dangerous. The schedule's harder. You're not facing the 4-12 Indianapolis Colts and the 4-12 Houston Texans and the 0-16 Browns twice. The schedule is harder. So despite this Ravens team, I think they legitimately improved in the offseason. I have them winning one less game. I have them going 8-8 and missing the playoffs. Now, best case scenario, despite this harder schedule, they make it happen. Joe Flacco has a great year with these new weapons, and they go 10-6. I think a 10-6 position, maybe even 3rd seed. I think 10-6 could get you the 3rd seed in the AFC this year. They go and grab that. Worst case scenario, they struggle with this schedule. Lamar Jackson ends up starting by end season, and they go 6-10. My prediction, again, is 8-8. So there you go. That is my 2018 prediction for the Baltimore Ravens. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. I'll be back next time to discuss the Denver Broncos. All I think about them, it'll be very similar. This is MJ, Sports Fan Entertainment. I'm out. See you all later.